ready for some news? Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time you've been waiting for. I know you've been waiting. The good news, the bad news, and the other shit. Yes, the good news and the bad news and the other shit. And, okay, I can try to make light of it, okay? Because you all know it's fucked up. I can try to make light of it, though. You know, I can try to make light of it, but the truth is that things are kind of scary. You know, it's just the truth. You have an incompetent, egomaniac president who 30-some% of the slow group, and I'm officially titling you that now, the slow group, is still hanging on. And you have a bunch of stuff that's going on. And one of the big things that seems to be, you know, I bet you that I always mess it up, but you know what I'm talking about. Kim Jong-un, I bet he's like pissed off that he's not getting the attention. He's like, man, I'm shooting off missiles and shit, and I can't get more attention than this.
That's it.
You know, because the president is too busy, caught up with the day-to-day tweets about people who don't like him, that he can't attend to North Korea. You know, he has his daughter sit in at the G20. Can you imagine that, you guys? He could have had anybody else in his cabinet. But he goes to the G20, and when he wants to sleep in one morning or whatever, he sends his daughter to go sit in. Or like a major meeting with leaders from around the world. Okay. I'm just saying. For some of you, that's... So... I'm simply amazed, you know, as part of the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. First of all, the North Koreans tested a missile, but half their shit doesn't work anyway, so we don't know. You know, they're the type, they can send the missile up and it'll blow up right above them and knock out everybody, so, you know, because they have a certain level of incompetence too, even though they tend to execute you when you make a mistake. But that's one of the real issues is North Korea. And because of the lack of people in the cabinet, you don't have enough. They don't have a policy because the president doesn't read anything, okay? So they don't have a policy because he just doesn't know. He has no command of the issues. And so he doesn't know. It's hard to have a policy when your leader, when you got to reduce North Korea to a one-page fact sheet, bullet points. It's going to make it hard. I must admit. I have a certain amount of disrespect for him because I had to work too hard in my life to gain knowledge. And so those folks who are just openly, blatantly, arrogantly stupid tend to irk me, as they do to a lot of other folks I know. So the president is busy. We don't know. As it turns out, more and more, it looks like they're deeper and deeper ties to Russia. I told you. And if you go look at the morning coffee dated 5/22/17, we specifically did a whole show related to my predictions for the Trump presidency. And I said that it would all be jumping off in 120 days. That would mean June, July, August, okay? So September. So I have till September 22. I predicted it's going to jump off way before then because I told you they have a lot of evidence. The reason why it's taking so much time is because they're getting everything together. Remember my words. I called it an orgy of evidence. So much evidence that you're like, damn, you're just leaving your panties everywhere. I'm just saying. So I predicted an orgy of evidence. You're going to be able to go and see all of it. And that's what's taking Mueller so long, because he had to hire extra people because the scope, Donald Trump was breaking the laws before he announced his campaign. And then he continued to break laws throughout the campaign. And because of sheer arrogance, he left trails everywhere. I've already predicted, because I just said, I'm a person who pays attention to patterns, whether it be in the news or in my own relationships. I pay attention to patterns. And when you establish a pattern, that pretty much tells something about you. This is the way you do things. So I predicted the sloppiness that the president. Imagine you get elected president and you can't do a better job. You can't galvanize your. I mean, some of us elected president, we might study harder, try more. But no, this idiot does less and continues on the same pathway. So that's his pattern. So I've already predicted an orgy of evidence, everything jumping off in 120 days from my prediction. That would be by September. And I've already predicted jail time for Jared Kushner. I said 12 to 18 of the staff indicted, the president impeached. And I also went further and said that once the president has been removed from office, he will eventually be charged with treason. Once he is removed from office, because right now no one even knows a way to charge a sitting president with a crime. But you sure as hell can charge him once they out of office.
Who will serve the longest time behind the steel curtain? Ooh.
Well, of who will be left afterwards of the administration? Well, no one in the administration. I predicted that Mike Pence would go down too.
Oh, okay.
According to one of my good friends, Adele Woodson, I asked her, she's my resident expert about such things, and I verified it, that there's a standard chain of command in case people get hurt, injured, killed, whatever. So after the vice president, it goes to the Speaker of the House. So right. It's going to be Ryan. Speaker of the House. He's going to be president.
Wait.
He's going to be president.
Wait.
One term. He's going to just barely finish it out before they get rid of his ass, like Gerald Ford.
Wait a minute. Is this not a case of too big to fail? Oh,
maybe. Here's the thing that you got to watch out for.
I'm just saying.
When Richard Nixon resigned, Gerald Ford pardoned him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
We do not want the next president to pardon Donald Trump. Part of the smart thing is you won't be able. Don't charge him with everything. That way they can't pardon him. See, if you don't bring it up, they can't pardon him for that because there's no charge. So you wait till after. You might have to actually wait. I said 2 to 3 years because you may have to have a Republican presidential replacement and then wait for them to lose an election, which they will. And then when the next Democratic, because I'm going to be Indy, but of course y'all will be Democratic. When the next Democrat gets elected to office, that's when the treason trial will commence for Donald Trump. So that's what I'm predicting. All right, good news, bad news. I guess I don't know which one that is. I got more bad news. One, it turns out, I don't know, I just look at what comes across my desk, okay?
Right.
But it turns out that right now, when you're having sort of a resurgence in the housing market, people buying homes for the first time, it's guess who seems not to be able to take advantage of it but black folks. Actually, black Americans have such a disparity between homeowning between blacks and white. It's over 30 points disparity.
Wow.
Okay, and it's gotten worse. Now, it's interesting that Asians and Latinos have made gains. And we thought that it would be gains being made, too. I do not know what the whys. I only noticed the article that came across my desk, and again, on the Associated Press, but it's all about the lag, how black home ownership is lagging. For whatever reason. I don't know. But, part of the news. Okay? Think about it. One of the topics that I'm more knowledgeable about is the infant mortality rate. First of all, you need to understand that the infant mortality rate, which is the rate at which black babies are dying each year, it's always been a couple of tiers minimum in the United States. Black America's always been like a third world country. This was back in the days with my father. Out there as an activist and also testifying before a Senate subcommittee. He dragged me along. But he made me painfully aware of this when I was in junior high school. I still wasn't understanding what more attention, but he made sure I knew. So now, to put it in sort of a different perspective, This difference in the rate at which black babies die are costing you about 4,000 lives every year. 4,000 lives every year. Because black America is like a third world country when it comes to health care. I'm so hoping that when we have our universal health care, and we will have universal health care, that this will be affected. We're going to have universal health care, you guys, because all my medical career, and I said it before, I had a T-shirt on in my first year of medical school that said health care is a right, not a privilege, and professor challenged me from the podium. And I defended it very well, certainly enough that he actually complimented me. And so I've been arguing this for a long time, but it's finally part of the consciousness of the American public that health care should be a right. When I was in medical school wearing my T-shirt, y'all didn't think that. You didn't think health care was, it took a long time. And as much as I argued against Obama's health care plan because he gave $800 million to those assholes and out there, same health care companies that are raping you now. He guaranteed them $800 million, and I was incensed. Because I said, assholes, $800 million. I was incensed. But maybe it was worth it. Now my views have changed. Because what Obama did was he solidified in your minds the idea that health care is a right. And by solidifying that in your minds, the president has a legitimate legacy, and a legitimate legacy that is wonderful.
Got to ask you something now. Going back with all the presidents as being able to offer something to the people that he had to go through the gauntlet. We understand. You just said Obama had to do something, and then you changed your mind on the effect. Will this be the biggest thing as it relates to let's say the last 3 to 4 presidencies, offered to people in a way that they are given the right, unlike any other president, including Reagan, going back as an impact?
Oh, way better.
So I'm just
way bigger.
Bigger and
this
better,
is
right?
so important. You know, okay. And let me clarify, because it makes a big difference. I'm a leftist. I'm way left of the president, and was very critical of Obama. One of the things that I liked about him most, though, was how he represented for us. There was no disagreement there. I loved how he represented us as black Americans. I loved the pride that he made us feel and that could actually infect our children. I loved the way he represented us in front of white America. But I had a bunch of areas that I did not like. But I'm not going to go into that here and now. But there was a bunch of areas I did not like. Being a leftist, I wanted way more from him in a bunch of areas. Now, having said that, as a black man with a mother who, who has an Obama shrine, you got like the pictures and a candle and a little vase with a flower in it. And for all the black people who came before me, who this means so much to them, because of them, I was searching for something that I could say very positive about the president. I was looking for his legacy, okay? Because I wanted to be able to do that. Even though I may have been critical of policies, I stated to you the things of which we have all held dear. I'm right in there with you. This is very legitimate. The President Obama, caused a ripple in the national consciousness that became a wave. That is a powerful, powerful, powerful legacy. Because now America's going to change forever. Because now you, the citizens, believe you have a right to health care. I've been saying this all my medical career. But now you, citizens, believe it, and that means the tide has turned. So, Vic, yeah. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to celebrate about Barack Obama.
So let me say what I think is, with you, just to relatively put in perspective what we are going through. People want instant gratification, but sometimes you have to see that force and the ripple effect that it may come to pass later. In other words, we have a lot of examples in history where they say a lot of people had to die, and the immediate impact probably wasn't recognized for their efforts, but it came to pass. Were we judging the quick fix with Obama at the time of his presidency, or do certain presidents have to fulfill planting the seeds, hoping that when things, because I believe this, I truly believe this, the passivity of the American public sometimes is very obvious, and many take advantage of that, instant gratification. So are we saying that this man saw something in that action that he did? And he says, if the people carry this, if they carry it to where it could go, it will be successful. Is that one of those instances right now?
I think in some ways it must be. Because remember my issue, I had a problem with the Affordable Care Act because
Right.
I asked for two things and it didn't give me, I've only had two things and it didn't give me that.
Right.
I asked for universal coverage
Yeah, right.
and open bidding for all the contracts.
Right.
So I didn't get any of that. Okay? I still don't have that. I still don't have that.
Right.
Okay? I only wanted those two things. So I was critical. But I cannot understate. I mean, I cannot overemphasize the importance of that change in the national consciousness. That causes people to hit the streets. It causes people to go to town halls and to berate their elected officials about health care.
Right.
So it's part of their consciousness. They feel that they have a right to this. And Lord, that's beautiful and wonderful to behold.
Okay. Got to give him credit, huh?
Got to give them credit.
Biggest thing so far in comparison
Biggest thing in comparison
to
so
the.
far.
All right. Just want to make sure.
The last of the bad news, I've been trying to verify these because, sometimes things go to social media campaign and I'm never sure if they're totally true. This one piece people have been referring to me, and I've been trying to find. It's about Sarita Walker, who went to the social media to complain about, the arrest and her father being murdered. So a lot of people are alarmed about this. We're not an investigative team, but there was enough talk about it, enough to seem to be online, that I felt that it was worth showing it to you. Let's take a look.
Oh, my dad's name is Charles Walker, and he was arrested by LAPD 3 nights ago, but he died that same day in police custody. Meanwhile, my aunts, they contacted, because he left home about 5 o'clock that morning, supposed to be going to work, and he never showed up. Immediately, my family started contacting hospitals, coroners. They went to the police station. My dad has been to jail before, so if he's arrested and fingerprinted, his information immediately should pop up. Well, my auntie, everyone's going to the police department. They're telling us, we don't have your dad. Your dad's not there. Your dad's not there. He's nowhere. He's nowhere to be found. We go, we put his name up online. Nothing shows up. My aunt drove down to the police department yesterday. She waited for 4 hours. Finally, the chief of police comes out and said that my father was deceased and that he's at the morgue, but he died of natural causes. We asked them, why was he even arrested? He's an old man, 60 years old. Why was he arrested? They're telling us they can't release any information. We have to wait till the reports come out. This is the kicker, though. They took my dad's body to a morgue, and they're saying that we can't view his body for 4 weeks. I think Los Angeles Police Department murdered my father. I've contacted the ACLU, the NAACP. This shit is about to cause some real shit to unfold. I'm not about to take this L. I'm not about to allow you police officers to get away with this. You're telling us we can't find out any information? They will not give us any information as far as why my father was arrested. He has no warrants. He was never even booked, is what they're telling us. It sounds like straight movie, like I'm going through a movie. No, I've contacted the NAACP, ACLU. I have a lawyer already on retainer at this point. When we call the 77th precinct, they won't give us anything. I'm on my way to California. I'll be down there. I'm in Nevada now. My family has been down there. My dad, he wasn't a violent man. So, yeah, I don't see how. They said he died of natural causes, but they won't even tell us why he was arrested, and why did they take his body to a morgue that doesn't allow viewing. So nevertheless, I'm just spreading this shit because I want the whole world to know that there's some fraud ass shit in these police departments. I'm always the person saying, you know, all cops are not bad and all this shit, but this shit is so bogus. I don't even know, like, they won't tell us shit. I'm on my way up there though. I'm gonna figure this shit out. This will not be another black man dying in vain. I'm not marching. It ain't gonna be none of that kumbaya shit going on. If you guys murdered my father, there will be justice. And I don't know there's nothing more I can even say.
This is T West with AfroSynergy.
I want to thank AfroSynergy for this piece. Got it from YouTube, AfroSynergy. I always got to give our props to those who are putting up these things. You know, I don't know, but there's so many things that happen. Every black man I know my age has a police story. I myself was arrested on a humbug, put in jail for shooting a BB gun, shooting at cans, right around the corner of my house. So every black man I know has police stories. I don't know a black man who doesn't have any police stories. Yeah. So white America needs to know how prevalent this racism has always been. And of course it still is there today. So I must admit, my tendency is to believe black folks with these kinds of stories because the stories are legion. And if you're a police officer and you don't know that the legacy of your occupation is racism, you're just a deaf, dumb idiot. You may be there making a change, but you need to know your legacy, okay? Some of these police departments like Los Angeles and New York, Detroit, their racism is so well documented, so established. You know, give me a break. And they tell you you're supposed to respect. I do not know. I may fear police. I don't respect police. Why would I respect my enemy? I try to give them a break. But see, what happens for most of us is when we have to see things like that, we revisit our own experiences. Like I said, every black man my age has police stories. Many. Mine started like at age 13 when they stopped us while walking to events and made us lie on the sidewalk in our dress clothes. Just lay down on the ground. So everybody I know has police stories.
True that, man.
Again, so sorry to have that moment of
sad
issue. And again, that's the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. The good news, the bad news,